Welcome to Her Story, Our Story. 1 hour of power is Dr. Stephanie, your favorite transformation architect. Listen, today we have a special guest. I'm not going to hold you all up from that because I know you saying, come on, Dr. Stephanie, where y'all been? Where y'all been? We've been preparing for the Mission Brand New You Conference, which is coming up. Go ahead, write it down. Get your pen out. It's coming up April the 18th, 19th, and 20th. April the 18th, 19th, and 20th. More information to come. Stay tuned right here. But listen, we have to do our thing. I got my piece of paper right here because I want you to be sure, to be prepared to do your self-confidence chant, as I like to call it, the self-confidence chant. So I'm going to bring that up here. But before I do that, I want you to first take a moment, take a deep breath in, blow it out. Take a deep breath in and blow it out. And because we operate in everything about this, our mindset and all this. And if you haven't already heard today from somebody, you are enough. But I want you to take your hand, remember, one hand behind each shoulder on purpose. If you can't, grab yourself and squeeze really tightly for the count of 3, 2, 1. I ask you to do that so you can release those endorphins that make you feel good. Because today's been a long day and a stressful day, and shake it out, shake it out, shake it out, shake it out. Whatever today gave you, I want you to give it back. I heard a story once. One of my mentors, Andy Enriquez, told a story about how when he was growing up, and he would go to visit his family in California, and his uncle wanted to play tennis. He was learning how to play tennis. And so Andy, when he was a little boy, he's like, come play tennis with me. Well, this one particular time he went to go play tennis with his uncle, he's hitting the ball and he's hitting the ball, and he notices that all of the balls were on the ground around him. And so he got frustrated because he had all the balls around him and none of the balls were on the other side of the court where his uncle was. So he was like, you know what? I can walk home from here. So he got pissed off. He started started walking like he's going to walk home. And his uncle said, but wait. Where are you going? He's like, this is not fair. All the balls are over here. None of the balls are over there. And his uncle said, okay, look, do me a favor. Just for this one time, do me a favor. Just pick up each one of those balls and I want you to hit it back over here. Just all the balls is over there, and then we can go. So he said he picked up the ball and he hit it back over. He picked up the ball and he hit it back over. And his uncle explained to him this one thing, which I want you to remember this. Just because the ball ends up in your court on your side doesn't mean it has to stay there. So when somebody says, hey, you're not enough, bet that back. Somebody says you can't have that job, bet that back. Somebody says that you are not a great speaker, bet that back. Somebody says you can't be a preacher, teacher, school teacher, whatever it is, bet that back. So in life, he says that whenever somebody says something, he might be listening to somebody say something, and he realizes it's not setting right with his spirit. He says in his head, boom, bet that back. So I say to you, boom, bet that back. All right, so I'm not going to delay because I want you all to hear from my special guest. So coming to the stage is Dr. Joanne Wescott. Come on, Joe. As they say, come on down. Come on down.
Hello, thank you.
Hello, Dr.
Thank you, thank you,
Joanne.
thank you,
First, as we
thank you.
always say, thank you for your yes. Because here's the deal. One thing we know is that the easy thing to do, and particularly when somebody asks us to come and actually put our stuff out there for the world, because everybody has a story, but not everybody is ready to share their story.
Mm-hmm.
The easy thing is to say, no, I'm not ready. But you did one. You did, boom, bet that back. I'm ready.
I did.
Even if I don't feel ready, I'm ready. So
Yes.
this is the one of the things that we have that if my co-host was here, Hope, she would ask you a couple of things. But before we do that, before we jump into that, I want you to join me in repeating some of these things that we like to say for our self-confidence formula, which I like to take credit for, but I can't, right? Because I got it from the John Figaro. Okay, so here we go.
Yeah.
Let me. I'm gonna bring it up here because I want you all to repeat after me. Okay, wait a minute. Okay, wait a minute. Okay, this is where we're gonna start. I know that I have the ability
I know that I have the ability
to achieve the object
to achieve the object
of my definite purpose.
of my definite purpose.
Therefore, I demand of myself
Therefore, I demand of myself
persistent, continuous action
persistent, continuous action
toward its attainment.
towards its attainment.
And I here and now
And I here and now
promise to render such action.
promise to render such action.
Amen. Amen. All
Yes,
right, y'all,
yes.
listen. This is the deal. It doesn't matter what anybody else says to ourselves as much as it matters what we say to ourselves. And I
Mhm.
promise you, if you find something, an affirmation in fact, this is a self confidence formula, and there are five things you can say to yourself every day. I like to read all five of them, but
Yes.
every day, remember, junk in, junk stays is what Dr. Les Brown says. In our subconscious mind, whatever we feed ourselves, whatever we look at, listen to,
Hmm.
read, talk about, and particularly what we let in our ear gates, right? Watch what you allow to be seated in your spirit. All right, so Dr. Joanne, we got to before we get into the meat and potatoes, and already somebody giving you the hearts, honey. Somebody giving you the hearts. What
Thank
is
you.
and if you're here, wherever you are listening from, we would love it if you just go ahead and type in the comments. If wherever you are, prayerfully, we can see your comments, depending on where you are. We like to know, where are you logged in from? Where are you
Yes,
logged in? Where in the world are you?
absolutely.
Shout it
Yes,
out. Where in the world
yes,
are you? Shout out your state or country. Because some of you might be in a different continent. So what country are you
yes.
in? What state are you in? But in the meantime, Dr. Joanne, we'd like to know, and let's see somebody giving us a shout out. Let's see what we got. All right, we got Joanne. That's my little cousin sister, daughter, as I like to call her. Joanne McKenzie from Georgia. Welcome, Joanne.
Yes.
Yes, indeedy. And so, Dr. Joanne, tell me this. If you could go live anywhere in the world, if you could just pick up today and just not
Hmm.
even live, but just visit, if you could just say, you know what, abracadabra, so, and you could, boom, have your passport and have a ticket first class anywhere in the world for a vacation, would it be somewhere tropical, somewhere hot, somewhere cold, or somewhere maybe you're in like a camping? Where would it be?
As a tropical girl myself, I would want to go to Jamaica.
Jamaica, darling.
Yes, man,
Oh.
Jamaica. Yes,
Listen, we got
yeah.
Dr. Taniko. She said hello. She said, and Texas is in the building.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Tanika.
And let me
Yes.
tell you this. I'm with you. I think you can't go wrong with Jamaica. Now, I want to ask you now I don't know if you had an opportunity to grab something. Do you have any? Is there anything we ask all of our guests if they have anything that's nearby them
Mm-hmm.
or that means a lot to you? And if you do, I would love for you to tell us what that thing is and why it is important to you. Now, we're going to talk about your book, but I want if there's and the reason I say that, and I'll give you an example. Some of
Something
our
that
guests,
something that means a lot to me and
mhm,
is nearby me right now.
yeah, that you can pick. Now, it may be something. It might be a picture of something. It may be, and I'll get an example. Would be I'm going to tell you that some of our guests,
Hmm.
they like some people have a picture, and the picture may be of their dad in the
I
middle of
have
track.
it
What is
right
it?
in front of me over
Okay,
in
well
the
then you
right
tell me what
corner.
your thing is. Okay,
You want
what
me
is
to
it?
show it to you?
Yep,
Yes, my
and
dear.
then tell me why. Tell me what it is. Why is it
I will
special?
do that. I will do that.
All right, y'all. Keep and if
Okay, get ready. Get ready.
okay, I'm
Get
ready.
ready. This is what I look at on a daily basis. Okay. I say daily. Focused and fabulous. Is in today's time, you have to be focused. And while you're being focused on what you're supposed to be focused on, your agenda, be fabulous with it while you're being focused. As a woman, never lose your femininity. Always have a little pizzazz with yourself. Be fabulous. Feel motivate yourself, encourage yourself.
Girl,
And so that's how I do my day every day in this office. I'm in front of this computer every day and I'm engaging with whatever I'm doing. Most of the time, it's contracting with the hospitals, working with the physicians, and I have to stay focused. But at the same time, while I'm working virtually, I will not come in this office in my pajamas. I will not come in here unfixed, untidy. I am very much a woman and I like to, you know, look fabulous if I can. That satisfies me. Okay.
I love that. I love this. So tell me something. Okay, so every woman that comes on, and sometimes with a few great men that
Hmm.
comes on to her story, our story, 1 hour of power, because this is the platform where we are allowed to be authentically ourselves, where we show other women that yes, whatever you experienced in life that happened for you and maybe even to you. But Dr. Shora Wood says our story is about us, but it ain't for us. So I
Exactly.
like to know before you were Dr. Joanne Wescott, before you were the woman that you are today, what is your story? Who were you?
Mm.
What have you gone through and that you've gotten on the other side of at least one thing, because we all have many stories that you've experienced in life that you've gotten on the other side of that you if you could just talk to your younger self, your 16, 17, 18, 21-year-old self, what would you talk to her about?
Don't let a door that someone closes. I had an experience when I was in high school where I was greeted every day by the instructor. And the words were very disheartening. The words were, why are you coming to my class? You need my class to pass. And so I was very much intimidated as a young girl. I was still under 18 years old. I was very much intimidated to hear those words from an instructor and from a female to tell me, you need my class to pass and you will not graduate. So I was so disheartened. I felt there was no hope. There was nothing I could do to satisfy because I needed to go through that particular course in order to be able to graduate. Long story short, I'll allow that dent to penetrate my soul. It penetrated my soul to the point that I did not challenge myself. So what I would say to you is, regardless of what someone else say that you cannot do or that they will prevent you from doing, do not allow that dent to penetrate your soul to the point that you give up. And I say this, there are many doors that are going to close, or many doors that may not be for you to enter. But once you have the mindset and you let your faith overpower your fears, you can walk through those doors. It gave me what I needed to get through many, many, many doors. I said, because I will never let anyone tell me that I will not succeed and I will not be able to be an achiever. I will not graduate. I will, and basically belittled me. And it really made me have low self esteem. So don't have low self esteem. Take all those things that seem like it was impossible or seem like someone blocked you, take it and use it as your strength. and go forward and do the things that you know within yourself that you can do. Just be a fighter. And that's what I was determined to do, was to be a fighter. I said never again will I allow someone to close a door. Never again will I allow someone to not let me go past where I need to go past. I will fight my way through. And there are many ways to fight, not in a physical aspect, but you can fight your way through. You can do the things in life that are challenging to you, but you have to have a made up mind. When you have a made up mind and you have faith and you believe in yourself, that's the most important. But when someone tries to tear that self esteem away from you and try to make you doubt yourself, rise up above it. Rise up above it. And when the doors appears to be shut, mm-mm, don't accept no. There's always a way. Always a way.
You said a word there, Dr. Wescott. So this is what I also, this is a great segue into. So tell them, we knew, you told us a little bit about your journey, you getting to where you are. So with in the life of your life now, what is it that you do now? How do you serve the world? How do you transform the world? How do you help other women?
What I do now, uh, I have my business, and I have my business as Delmarva CCS. And as a nurse, I was in the field for quite some time, and I wanted to be able to be an example for other women. Now I'm proud to say I'm an entrepreneur. I have the ability to be able to have the love for people because of the Christ love I have within me. And my journey that I've gone through has shown me so many different roads that it all led back to the road of being a servant leader. So, as far as a business, I am here to be an example that you can have your business. I am an example that you can be a mother and you can survive motherhood, rearing your children, whether it be with a husband or without a husband. It starts with the mother. You set the tone for your home. And I am here to be someone who can reach back and carry somebody with me and not feel intimidated, not feel that I have to keep you down in order for me to shine. That is not who I am. The word of God tells us that when ye are strengthened, strengthen thy brother. So therefore, I believe in bringing people where they need to go to help them, because a lot of times in life, the journey, the path that you take is not for you, it's to help someone else. And so that has always been my motto. If I can help someone along the way, I will do
Jonay said you done gave a word.
that. Thank you.
And listen here, look. You set the tone for your home. Love it. For liberation, said that. So let me ask you this. Tell me two things. One, how long have you been an entrepreneur? And what is it that your company does? Tell us more about what it is, how your company, what is it, how do you serve?
I've been an entrepreneur for quite some time, since 20, hmm, I would say since 2005. I started my journey with my own business. I started a home health business, a non home health medical service business. I have a real estate business. So I've been in that arena of being as a businesswoman for quite some time. And after being in the field for like 10 months with the pandemic as a registered nurse, I saw a lot and I experienced a lot within myself. So with my company that I have now, it originally was a nonprofit company, founded back in 2012 as a nonprofit company, and then I changed it to a for-profit company around about 2020. Um, with the stigma and all of the stress and anxiety that I and my colleagues encountered in the field during the pandemic, I felt a need to extend my company and offer services to those that were dealing with mental illness. And the reason being is because a psychologically distressed individual cannot be economically productive. So, regardless what your degree may be, regardless of what name letters you may have behind your name, if your mental is not intact, you can't be successful. You can't be a citizen that really can contribute, and it will take away from what you could do. But the most important, you have to have your mental intact. So I saw an opportunity to be able to have part of the extend my business so that I can open doors for members to come in and to provide free literature, to be able to have a listening ear, to be able to just help people to get through, and especially for people who said, I'm sane, there's nothing wrong with me, I don't need the help, that are in denial. We do we do need the help. Yes, we do. Even as a professional myself, there were many times when I said, God, I said, how do I cope with what is happening right now? How do I walk every day past the gurneys when the capacity of the morgue is full? And my greeters in the morning are the undertakers. My greeters in the evening at the end of my shift were the undertakers. Like, God, how do I manage to get through this? How do I do this? So with everything that I've learned and I experienced, I brought it back, and I said, I need to help others because God helped me and I was able to get through that. But not everybody can get through such mental anguish as that. A lot of my colleagues, they wailed and they cried, they had mental breakdowns, and it was very heartbreaking to see because, mind you, we had taken an oath to save lives. Yes, we have lost lives, but not in such a magnitude. And we were faced with the fear of the unknown. And the wails and cries came from within the hospital, not from the families, because again, they weren't allowed to be there. So we were there, families, and there for patients for the end of life. And mind you, traditionally, we are accustomed to being with our loved ones at the end of life and being able to say goodbye, having that last minute hug, that last minute uh, words with one another. But that was taken away. And unfortunately, when that happens, it causes tremendous mental anguish, causes stress, it causes depression, the anxiety. It just totally wipes the mind out. The mind cannot phantom such. And again, the deaths were at such a high level that every time you looked at the media, it was always one crisis after another crisis. So how do you manage that? And then you have the social isolation. You have the problem with not knowing any solution to what we can do. Then the do nots: cover your face, don't go to your mom's, don't go here, can't gather there. And we can't even at that time attend the sanctuary for our faith into worship. So what do? We have to find a way to help those who have suffered with so much mental challenges that has caused them to be stagnated. Some have quit the profession, even the college students. Some have just decided, well, we're not going to go back to school. Why? That's why study when it has no value now. It doesn't mean anything. And we know for ourselves that isolation with students is not good. They need the social interaction from our grade school up to our college students. We need that. So, with all that being said, and you already know the whole do's and don'ts from the pandemic. We've all been through it. And this month, right here, the month of March, is the third year for the pandemic. So, we've had enormous amount of information that has been flooding us, some myth and some truth. But the fact of the matter is, we have emotional disturbances, depression, stress, mood alteration, irritability, insomnia, PTSD, emotional exhaustion. It goes on and on. It is real, it is at hand, and we have to handle that.
So, ooh, that was some good stuff there. That's some good stuff there. And and I thank you. I thank you for all that you've been doing and are doing for individuals, these families, and other folks in the health profession. So, with that, I have a couple of questions that I want to ask.
Yes.
One, what you mentioned, that all the things that we are experiencing or we can experience. So, one, how do you keep your sanity? what
Mhm.
what is, how do you keep your sanity? How do you deal with stress? How do you deal with all the things you've been seeing with your eyes? How That's the first thing. How do you do that? And then, and as a nurse, what one or two tips would you have for other nurses, particularly all of the medical people in the medical field, but those nurses that day in and day out, they took the oath to go do this thing. What do you say to those people?
Well, for myself personally, because I am a believer in Christ, I always reflect on Isaiah 26, verse 3, where he says, "Thou will keep him in perfect peace, whose mind is stayed on thee, because he trusts in thee." So, my foundation from a child up into my adult life, I was always taught the faith. I was always taught to keep my mind stayed on him, to keep me in perfect peace, meaning him, the Almighty. So that is what was my center, was my core. And then the fight to keep my mind and my mindset so I did not have a mental breakdown is because I have a family and I love my family. And I've always been a leader, I've always been a warrior. And I would not allow that to break my spirit because the Word of God told us that these things were going to happen, even though we have a lot of non believers. Oh, yes, we do. We have a lot of people that do not believe that of the calling of the end times. We have a lot of people that believe not. But according to the Judea that I read and I study and I follow, it was foretold to us that these things were going to happen. But it also told us what to do. Thou will keep him in perfect peace, whose mind is stayed on thee. So, in order for us to have peace, which he said when he departed, peace I leave with you. So, I say all of that to say this to my colleagues and others: find a center within yourself where you can focus. Now, if you're a believer as I am, you have it. Even if you are not, it's okay. But as an example, as a servant leader, it's working for me. It can work for you. Talk to someone, because one of the things that I have learned during the pandemic, there were five common phrases that I've often heard. The phrases was hear me, protect me, prepare me, support me, and care for me. So oftentimes that has been said, and you have to be able to have someone that you can talk to, someone that you can cry to. And it's fine because, again, I've cried and I've talked to the Almighty. But if you need to have something and someone, you can. You can do that. Don't keep everything balled up inside of you. Admit your fears. Admit you're scared. Admit that, hey, I'm a nurse, I'm a physician, and I can't do this and I can't do that. Don't feel that you are God sent and that you created life and you must maintain that life. You can only do as much as the Almighty will allow you to do. Have to admit your shortcomings. You're not perfect. We are human, regardless where you come from or who you may think you are. You are human, and we will fall short. So just link up and cry and allow yourself to be vulnerable. Don't have to walk around tough. Don't have to walk around like it won't happen to me or be in denial. No, better it is out than it is kept in.
That's good stuff. So we're going to do a quick commercial and then we're going to come back because I want to hear from you because I understand that you also wrote a book on this very topic. So you all stay tuned. We're going to do a quick commercial and when we come back, Dr. Joanne Wescott is going to tell you, Joanne Wescott, ready to give another name, will tell you all about her book. So stay tuned. Stay tuned. Don't you go nowhere. Don't you go nowhere. All right, here we go. This is our quick commercial, you all.
Hi, my name's Priscilla Batten. Since beginning my journey with Speaker Stephanie, the transformation architect, also known as the Tower of Power, I have gained more self-confidence. I've used my voice more to support and to encourage those that I love, as well as others that I come in contact with. I have gained a lot of confidence when it comes to speaking publicly, and I am also a lot less anxious. If you're someone who wants to increase your visibility, grow your business, and your confidence using your voice, I highly recommend Stephanie. She has a positive spirit. She inspires not just in words, but by example. And I am sure that she can provide the tools that you need to keep moving forward towards your goal. Thank you.
And we are back. All right, Dr. J. You had somebody, Lena said, Dr. J, teach, baby, teach. All right, so tell me, one, you have a book. What is the
Yes.
name of this book? What's the premise of the book? So what's it about? And who is this book for?
Well, the name of the book is The Psychological Effects of the COVID-19 Pandemic. That is the name of the book. Because we know that many people are underwent unmanageable mental health issues, as we discussed earlier. And we know with emotional disturbance, depression and stress, mood alterations, all of that that goes along with your mental illness, and especially individuals with prior mental, neurological, or substance use problems. So, to understand these aspects and to how to manage them across the affected population is the motive behind writing this book. So, through close reading and analysis of this book, one will understand what it takes to manage the associated mental effects of the pandemic and what is required to avoid being affected by these effects. So that is the whole gist and purpose of this book, was to have a better understanding of why it happened and what to do and how to prevent it from further and having any effects on you. So that's the purpose of the book. And of course, the book was collaborated with not just what was happening here in the US, but because it's a pandemic, it incorporates what is happening in other countries as well. And the book is for everyone. The book is for everyone. It's for students, it's for families, it's for the physicians, the nurses, it's for everyone. It brings in a focus point. Sure, there are many books out there that may talk about the pandemic, but are they telling you what you can do for your mental? Are they explaining to you how you got there? Are they telling you what you need to do in order to not have that mind boggling feeling? No, I don't think so. I don't think so. I could be wrong. And you can go on my website and you will see a pop up that will come up and it will talk about member one and it will talk about the workbook. And what I have done, I provided free literature, workbooks for families to get through for the pandemic, the psychological effects of the pandemic, workbooks for families, workbooks for leadership. We have it in 4 different languages. We have it in English, we have it in Hindi, we have it in Haitian Creole, and we have it in Espanol. We also have a self help journal that you are free to access to be able to help you in that regard. We also discovered, and myself, I can contribute to that, how you can have the emotional mental illness from working remotely. Because when you're taken away out of corporate and you haven't have to work remotely, that was a different aspect with the pandemic, what that caused. And you're asking me, is this book just for people who experience issues due to COVID? No, not at all. This book is for you to have an understanding, because there's not one person that I could think of during the pandemic era. You may know somebody that you can be of a help to once you have a better understanding and get into the meat of what this book will offer. Addressing the psychological effects is the initial point of solving the results of the effects, both short term and long term. Because again, we have to prepare now for our future. And if what we have now is mental illness that is just as high on a rise as it was with the COVID, what's going to happen to our future? There's no way we can survive going forward without addressing close reading, analysis of this book. You will be able to understand what it takes to manage the associated mental effects of this pandemic. I encourage you to get the book. You will not be bored with the book. You will enjoy it. I'm also available and here to answer questions at any given time that anybody may have concerning the book. But the key thing is to have a robust knowledge on what people require to manage the mental effects of the pandemic. That's key. Question is, will this help parents dealing with their children who have decreased maturity levels due to? Absolutely. Absolutely. This will give them tools that they will need to be able to help their families, their children especially. One of the things that this book really has in it is coping skills. And it helped you to teach numerous people how to be able to recognize mental illness, to be able to see the signs of mental illness, to be able to know when someone um, is very much challenged and bothered. It will help you and give you an insight, a peek into what is needed and how to be able to do that. And you will have resources within my membership on my website that's free that you can have. And also I have about 37 mental illness now that will be in the member too, because someone falls in those categories at some point in time, or we know someone that may fall in those categories at some point in time. And in member two, you will be able to get help from our professors. We have psychologists, we have behavior health in ABAs that are involved. We also have counselors that are involved, and myself, I'm involved as well. We have individuals who have testimonies that have survived some of the worst tremendous issues that you could think of. And yes, I am here to be of a help. And again, we don't have it all because it's going to take all of us to come together. But I am a willing vessel to be able to make a start, to be there to help someone. And everybody knows somebody that has dealt with mental trauma. I too have had a loss. My father's best friend, he passed away because of the COVID-19. He had other illness, yes he did, but because of being hit with that COVID, that took him away. And he was like a father to me. My father had demise and passed away early on, but he was there for me. And when he fell to the COVID, that impacted me. That impacted me. And I felt I don't want someone else to feel that they are lost and they have no help. And it's very close to him as well as the family, and we still feel the loss right today. And again, I know what it feels like myself. So yes, it makes me a little emotional when I think about that. And I believe a lot of people, they don't want to think about it or they don't want to talk about it, but it's necessary. Talk about it. Express how you feel about that loss. Express how you feel about what you've gone through. You've been told, you've been mandated that you can't work if you don't have the vaccine. You've been told you have to leave corporate because they were closing, so you didn't have a job. Some are not as fortunate. They're already in poverty. I have my team that are internationally, and they are already dealing with poverty. They're already dealing with a lot of what they don't have. And then for them to be hit with the COVID, that was even devastating to my international team members and my I call them my family because they are my family. And they are working hard, very hard, to try to help their community to even harder than what they had to deal with just having the poverty that was there. And what is the question you're asking me? What is one habit that you think families should establish to help mitigate these effects? Hmm. Well, the one habit is to give. Let me get this very clear. One is one habit that you think families should establish to help mitigate these effects: to stay educated with what is happening, pay close attention to what is going on, make sure you are aware. I mean, yes, the news can be depression. It can be very, very disheartening. Some don't want to hear anything about the news, but you must and you have to stay in tune to what is happening now. You have to keep yourself knowledgeable to what is going on. And you have to, uh, yes, pay attention to your family. Make sure you let them know you love them. The best habit you can have is the habit of love. In order to love is action. You have to protect your family. You have to do the things that you feel, even though with all the information that you've been told, you still have to do what you feel that's best for your family. And the one habit that I could say is love. So many, they don't love. They don't show compassion or care for one another. And we have to now. We may not always follow the do's and don't. I'm not wearing a mask. Or some may say, I'm wearing a mask. I'm not getting the vaccine. Or I'm going to get the vaccine. Please. You have to do what's best for you and hopefully follow the regulations as best as possible. So you're asking, do you suggest regular therapy? Absolutely. Absolutely. Whenever there's a time that you feel that you have an issue, that you're struggling with any type of uh, mental altercations or delusions or hysteria, stress, anxiety, overwhelm, yes, yes, that's what I'm imploring upon you. Seek help. Seek help. Help is out there. You have help. We have mental health organizations that are here that are willing to help you, as well as myself. I am here. I'm willing to help you. And she's asking me questions. Do you see body if Christ working together to help mental health? I'm not in the questions. Do you see body if Christ working together to help mental health? Well, I'm not understanding that question. Can you, if you can clarify that question a little bit for me?
I think, I think,
What is it? What is the clarification on that question?
I think she's asking, do you see the body? Do you see the body of Christ actually helping? Because in some,
Oh
in
yes,
religion,
I
with faith,
understand it
there's a
now.
stigma. There's sometimes a stigma. So she wanted the
Oh
question is,
yes, I apologize for that. I understand the question now. Well, I believe there's a passage that says when you help the least one of them, you have helped Christ. You have helped him. So yes, we as a servant leader, we are to help one another. As I said early on, when ye are strengthened, strengthen thy brother. So yes, in the body of Christ, that is a ministry within itself to be able to help people now with mental health issues. Because once again, if you can't use this correctly, there is nothing you can do with these. Nothing. You have to have your focus, you have to have mental health, and right now the it's an increase. You look at the census, the suicidal rates. Look at it, senseless.
And I'm going to add, and Lena, that was a great question. I have
Yes, it
one of the
was.
things that I have noticed, and Dr. Joanne, I'm sure you can attest to it. I've noticed an increase, as a shift, if you will, in our places of worship. And one thing I've noticed is that more so now, even we even have a wellness coaches and wellness practitioners that are now serving within the church, because we
Mhm.
realized, because once upon a time when I was growing up, it was very taboo. They had really inappropriate names. They would say, they cray cray, or they this, or they funny, they all this kind of
Yeah,
stuff. Nobody
yeah.
talked about it. And if you said that you were hearing voices, or that you were having some type of mental breakdown, they
Hmm.
put you in a facility, or they say, listen, give it to God. We just gonna pray about it. But
Hmm.
what we found is, they said that now folks were saying that faith without works is dead, which
Dead.
also means we gonna pray about it. We
But we
definitely
have
gonna
to
pray
do
about it, because
something.
that also, your faith is also dealing with your mental health. But we're also going to tell you to get a person who went to school and got a degree, and it's their
Hmm.
job to help you to work through those things. And sometimes you may
Exactly.
also may require you to get an actual physical prescription.
That's
And
right.
so what you're saying is that you subscribe to that. You understand that is necessary.
I understand that it's necessary, but I also have the statistics that shows that there has been an abundance of taking too much medication. I do support it, but there are a lot of people that are taking too much, to the point that the stats are out now that a lot of the antidepressant medications are not even available.
Well, now I'm going to go ahead and give you this. Now, I will tell you that, even, yeah, you're right. That I just read something, as a matter of fact, and my pharmacist talked about that it's not available. And because there's
That's
a
true.
lot of people, their anxiety is up.
That's
But
true.
also, if any of us right now watch now, and this is my challenge to everybody: the next time you're watching television and there's some type of commercial that comes on for the antidepressant, whatever it may be, at the very end, the side effects, by the time they get to the side effects are worse than what you were experiencing sometimes. So that's some of
Absolutely.
the things that we have to be careful of, is the make sure we're getting prescribed the correct dosage. And it's not just
Absolutely.
somebody prescribing us something in lieu of something else, because sometimes talk therapy is what we need, sometimes it's
Absolutely.
something else we need.
Absolutely.
So I think what you're saying is not always the answer. But yeah.
Absolutely. That's very, very true. I'm glad you said that. That's very true. And that is most important in today's time, to pay attention to those prescriptions and the side effects, as you said. What and yes, Miss Johnson, this book will help the mental health. It most certainly will, and it's supported, mind you, by the mental health. They are supporting this book. This book is on an academia basis. It's not my opinion. This is a collaboration on academia studies. I did extensive research for this in this book to be able to put this book out for people to be able to read it and use it. So it is supported. It is not just my opinion of what I think. Yes. Was it, what was the other question? I think I saw another question.
The other person was making a statement. They were just saying that, the mentality about get over it has to go. You know how that,
Yes. Yes.
So I want to ask you this, and this is, you can choose if you don't feel comfortable with this question. You don't have to answer it, but I want to ask it.
Uh-oh.
I will tell you that I know when the pandemic first occurred,
Hmm.
for many people, like March, 2020, first folks were like, they kind of told everybody just, maybe go home for a couple of days. Then we
Mm-hmm.
know the couple of days became 30 days, and the 30 days became 90 days. And next thing you know, it
Exactly.
was like, it was the
Yes.
summertime and there was no planes going over. And it was like, okay, this is some stuff like we didn't read
Yeah.
it somewhere in a book,
Yeah.
somewhere, apocalypse, right? So what I want to know from you as a health, because you are a health worker, right? So you were in the mix. You didn't have the ability to just stay home and stay and camp out in the house until everything blow over. You were
Exactly.
seeing bags after bags of people waiting to go to the mortuary, but they
Yes.
couldn't go to the morgue. I mean, they would stick. I mean, stick. I mean, the morgue was overrun,
Mm-hmm.
and it made me think of, God, my goodness, the mess that was going on in New York. It
Mm-hmm.
was so many people
Mm-hmm.
perishing. They
Yes.
just, the body bags were just everywhere,
Yes.
and we saw that, and we're horrified watching it on television. But
Mm-hmm.
now, when I'm watching, I'm thinking, huh. I'm horrified watching on television. Imagine the horror of the people that are in the right there. So
Exactly.
with that, I want to know. Now I know your faith because I know that's where my strength comes from.
Right.
But some days when you're how you come home and you just seen them, you reached your breaking point. You like, Lord, it's like you crying out to
Yes.
God.
Yes.
You falling down on your knees,
Yes.
but you also got to do some more work because God said, God, I got you there. But I'm gonna need you to do something else. So did you counsel with other nurses? Did you go get therapy? Did you I mean, what did you do in addition to giving it to God to help
Well,
you to stay on? Because so I'm gonna tell you all, and this is a great way for now. I retired as a police commander,
mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
as a police officer, I was part of it was called a crisis incident stress management team.
Uh-huh.
And the purpose of that team is when police officers experience a significant, on
Mm-hmm.
scene,
Mm-hmm.
significant incident, then there's a team that is certified who's been
Mm-hmm.
trained to be able to help them to de-stress, right?
Exactly.
So after it's
Exactly.
over, we bring everybody that was involved in the room and we have those conversations. Like when you leave from here, your body's going to feel a certain way. It's going to go through a certain process, and then you're going to go through these emotions, and it's okay to feel those emotions. And if you
Exactly.
feel this particular emotion, you should consider doing this, right?
Exactly.
That was my role. But then a significant incident happened to me,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
right, where a young person took their life,
Oh, God.
and when I was notified about it, I felt that I
Wow.
felt like I could, oh my gosh.
Mm.
What else could I have done? What else? Right?
Exactly.
And I
Mm-hmm.
was so upset. I left where I was. I got in my car, but I recognized that I needed some help. So I reached
Mm-hmm.
out to another person on the team,
Mm-hmm.
and I said, "Listen, I need some help.
Mm-hmm.
I'm feeling it, and I'm crying. I'm telling." And before I can get to my house, she was already there.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Another commander,
Mm-hmm.
giving it back to me what we normally give to everybody else. So what I'm saying to you is, what did you do to help you? Because the helpers need help. You understand? And
Yes.
oftentimes,
That is
many
very
people
true.
they don't receive it because they're like, okay, yeah, 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 but you ain't really saying what you did. You see what I'm saying? Like they know you said people need to do, but what did you do? I'm telling you, I cried out to the Lord, but that wasn't good. I needed some other things. I mean, and the Lord was there for me, but I'm telling you, I needed to have that conversation. So
Well,
that's a lot.
to be transparent, the hospital at the time where I was contracted at was a rural hospital. And I must say, the director there, she was very good. She was a very good director. And the hospital was very dynamic in putting interventions in for staff. So the department that I was in, the director was able to, we had our breakout sessions, we had meetings where we were able to cry about it, we was able to talk about it. We just came together and it was recognizable that, hey, you know, I need to be able to talk to my team. I need to be able to let them have an outlet. I need to let them be able to vent how they were feeling, and then offer solutions. So we did have that. The hospital offered support for their staff. The hospital definitely had their upper leadership um, ready to be able to handle the challenges from the staff, to be able to meet their needs, because again, it happened all at once to everybody. So we couldn't point the finger at our leaders because they were just finding out about it. The pandemic the same, the COVID the same, we all hit the news the same. But one thing about this particular hospital, the leadership was dynamic. They were able to implement and put measures in place to help their staff so that you could have a place where you could come together and you can vent and you can talk. It was very therapeutic. And so I was able to do that. I was able to be a part of that, talk with my colleagues. We were able to just put things on the table. We had our breakout session, our crying session, our hugs. And then it got to the point where it was like a little leery of, do we hug one another? What do we do? And so we went through all of that, but the most rewarding for me was when I would walk through my door and my family was still living. My family was still able to give me a hug and say, Mom, we love you. And I was able to tell them that I love them. So that right there, that gave me the drive to fight because I did not want to leave. And I knew I was in the trenches. I didn't want to be overtaken by COVID. And I didn't want my family to be overtaken by COVID. So, of course, when I came home, I was still very much the nurse, do this, do that, and don't do this and don't do that. But it was all out of love. But the what kept me together was my family, was to be able to walk through, have the ability to walk through that door, see my family, see the smiles on their faces, and so that they could see me and know that I'm well, Mom is okay, I'm here. And so that right there, that's that was what kept me.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's real. I as a nurse, I can only imagine. You see it up close and personal, and you like, I remember, gosh, in the '80s, the AIDS epidemic, the crack
Hmm.
epidemic, and all of
Hmm.
this, and everybody knew somebody that had perished due to it. And the
Exactly.
same thing with COVID.
Hmm.
Sadly, in our family, we lost a number of family members. My mother's oldest sister
Oh
and her
God.
baby sister within
Mm.
a month of each other. And so, and of course, two nephews, but
Mm.
not due to COVID, due to murder,
Oh
homicide.
wow.
They both lost their life tragically. And I dare to say that I still say that the COVID also brought out the worst in individuals because they're
Yes.
just the maturity level, but that's a whole nother talk show. But I
Exactly.
want you, with the last minute we have left, I want you to close us out by looking right at your camera and talking to that person who is still challenged. Talk about what you show your book and talk to that person about how that book on just what they might need to do or should do to help themselves. And you'll carry us out.
I think I have it correct. Just know that somebody here cares. I care about you and I want the best for you. Don't feel that you are alone. Don't feel that you're in a dark place. Know that there is light. I am here, and there are others that are here. Let go and let God. Reach out to me. If you can't reach out to me, reach out. A cry for help is okay. Just don't give up on yourself. Don't ever give up on yourself. Love yourself because somebody does love you. It is okay to hurt. It is okay to feel the pain because we are human and we will feel pain. We will feel all of that. We will cry, but know that there is help. There is help here. And I myself, I'm not here to sell a book. I'm not here to make money off a book. I'm not here to sell myself. I'm here to tell you that I love you and I want to be able to help you. And I have resources, I have connections with people that think and feel the same as I do. And we want to be able to be here for you. You are not alone. Mental illness is real. Yes, we know, but you are not alone.
Well, thank you again. Thank you so much. That was powerful. Well, normally I close it up with this one thing. I'm gonna close it up with this real quick.
Mm-hmm.
And that is this. Lisa Nichols tells us that we must shine our light.
Yeah.
Dr. Wescott came on here and shined her light because just like I tell you all the time, I believe that my light and your light, and for those of us that believe in the Holy Trinity, believe in something higher than ourselves, I believe that our light is God's gift through us to the world. Dr. Wescott came up in here and shined her light, did what she was called to do. So I encourage you to get what you need and to stop wasting time and go out there and shine your light, because the people or your assignment can't wait for you to get ready. You just got to show up in those spaces, in those places, the best version of who you are and whose you are with what you have. Peace
Yeah.
and blessings to all of you. And we're going to see you on the other side, because everything you need, you already have. Make it a wonderful day.